Got my phone balanced on a pineapple and a pen. My recent trip to the UK, I went to Bath, had a massage, and the massage therapist, who was around my age as well, said that she had never worked on someone that had such loose fascia and no stress in their body. Now, I still have stress up here in my brain. Still stuff going on there. But the first thing that I've done, because I've always been very wound up, actually, my ex-husband and I, he was an accountant and I was a massage therapist for many, many years. And people always thought that he was a massage therapist and I was the accountant because I was always so like very that. So the first thing that I did in August of 2020, what are we in, 2026? 2024, August, the first thing I did was Parasite cleanse. I was 167 pounds, absolutely miserable. My brain, I was depressed, like all of the things at whatever I was, 50 years old. And the first thing I did in August was do a Parasite cleanse. Changed my life. That was a full-on 10-day Parasite cleanse that I did. Juice only. The entire cleanse, I just did juice. We spent about 3 hours, because my husband and I did it together. We spent about 3 hours making juice for the first 4 days. So our kitchen was a disaster, but we juiced everything. That was a little bit of a tough one because I've never really been a junk food eater, but I always kind of like snacked around and things like that. Didn't have a lot of movement. So that was a pretty intense cleanse. Day 3, we were both kind of, all over the place trying to figure out how we were going to do it, because day 3 is when the parasites really start screaming, or the bacteria, the heavy metals, all that stuff that's being fed and taking your nutrients from you. They're not getting that anymore, so they start just wreaking havoc in your brain, your body. They're trying to convince you to like eat anything that you want. That's on the big 10-day cleanse. Your first cleanse is usually a little rough. Getting through that cleanse after that 10-day, after that first like 3 days, getting through that, the next couple days were actually much easier because you start to feel just amazing. I started to feel amazing anyway. When we broke our cleanse, my husband, we went to we actually had this event. So we went to some restaurant. I didn't eat anything because I knew I was going to get sick. My husband ended up having something disgusting like chicken fried steak, and he was ill for a day after that, just because he put in his body things that he had just cleaned out. He was fine afterwards, but it was not a great way to break the cleanse. I ended up losing probably 8-9 pounds that first cleanse, just in pure inflammation. I mean, it was amazing. You could see like my face was inflamed, and then it wasn't. Like it was lower down. My whole body had kind of like, it's not fat, it's inflammation. My whole body kind of was starting to make a movement. My husband, I don't know, men, they always lose more. He lost like 12 pounds, and he's not a big guy. So over time, I did another cleanse. I think I did a 5-day cleanse. Probably 4 months after that, maybe I did a 3 to 5 day cleanse. And then whenever I have a big blowout, if I go somewhere, if I go out of town or something, or I do whatever, and we have a couple cocktails, or we don't eat the best, I'll do cleanses. So since that time, my first cleanse in August of 2024, I weigh like 118 now. So 118, 28, 38, 48, 58, 50 pounds. I've lost 50 pounds, and I've been able to keep them off. And I fluctuate now. I fluctuate between like 115 and 120. Reason being for me is that I'm not working out. I used to be a total gym rat. And over the years of basically living on the stair stepper, my knees have not been great. So at this point, I'm still not working out. I'd like to get back into working out, doing some lifting, things like that, because I've got a lot of like loose skin because I lived inflamed for 5 years. Actually, I lived inflamed longer than that, but interesting story. When I was in my 40s and I worked out, I mean, I was one of those people that worked out an hour and a half a day. I started at 5 in the morning, hour and a half a day. I lived on an apple and a bottle of wine. And I worked out cardio an hour and a half a day. And when I did that, even though I did that for 8 years, that's what I had to do in order to keep myself around 130, 140 pounds. That's how, like, my central nervous system was completely fucked. My vagus nerve was a nightmare. My body was like living up here from my job, all the things that go along with like regular life, trying to regulate in a very stressful environment and not being regulated myself from a brain gut standpoint. So in order for me to look great in my clothes, that's what I did. I worked out hour and a half, had an apple and a bottle of wine. It was a complete nightmare. And that's how I lived for a very long time of my life. And I think about the things that I missed, the connections that I missed, the time with my daughter that I missed, with my ex-husband, who we'd been together for a very long time, and we were really close. But my body was so dysregulated from like my history, my life, that I didn't allow myself or know how to get into this situation where, yes, I still have shit going on, but it doesn't affect like my body the way that it did. I can process it and deal with it, set it aside, keep going about my everyday life without everything being like in discord. And it all started with my Parasite cleanse. It's amazing. And now I do it. Sometimes I'll do it for 2 days. Sometimes I'll do it for 5 days. I know my body well enough now that I'm like, okay, I need to do 2 days of a Parasite cleanse or whatever. I'll start doing a Parasite cleanse, and then my body will say, let's tuck some things in there. You can still do the cleanse, but we're going to tuck in some different types of foods here. And now that I know my body so well, it's like, it tells me, it's a supercomputer. It tells me what it needs and when to do it. And I'm able to listen and still have that fascia be running smooth. That it lets a massage therapist who's been a massage therapist for 25 years say that she's never seen somebody that's my age that has, or in general anybody, that has such smooth moving energy, fascia, chi, all of those things. And it's all because of my Parasite cleanse.